His days have always been 2-0, so finally we get ourselves a barnstormer to start the day out, or a barn burner, whatever the phrase is. It's not important. It's match time. It is siege time. Let's get into it, ladies and gentlemen, and see who tops out this match.
Well, with the Thatcher off the board, the second offensive ban coming through. And what does Oxygen want to remove from the play pool? We're about to find out here, as they will be removing Hibana, the Hatch Queen herself, from play and making things a little easier when it comes to locking things up. Oxygen will be starting out on the offensive side, so I'm expecting a Kaid ban here. I would not expect them to leave this up to Team 1 as to whether the hatches stayed sealed or not, but actually, it seems like they will. They're going to get rid of the Mira instead, which also isn't a bad ban, so I'm not going to knock them for that one. But what does Team 1 want to do? Do they want to leave the Kaid up and try and run up on the defensive end? This will help them out a decent bit, but no, they're actually going to knock out both of these ops instead.
Yep, so the bans overall for this entire series, save for the Warden ban on map number 2, pretty straightforward for the most part.
Absolutely.
No huge surprises to look back on there. Everything aligning with what we come to expect inside of this meta. So let's get into it. The first round between these two teams, obviously it's Team 1 on the defensive start, OXG on the attack. We're going to be going towards an open area start. Once again, talking before about how those extended presences would be a bit of an issue for our attacking team to deal with. Once again, just like we were seeing over on Coastline, and this site is absolutely no exception to that. Expect immediate play towards the Tellers area, in addition to the usual play up inside of Janitor to try and delay out Oxygen's time bank of 3 minutes for as long as possible. Clash being baited by Team 1 there, but it will be 6-picked away towards the Valkyrie. And at the same time, it's been read pretty straightforwardly by the Oxygen roster, as they're also going to 6-pick into an IQ to counter that out.
Yeah, that's pretty funny, honestly. Bank is one of Valkyrie's best maps, especially out towards the lobby space. I'm sure we'll see some cameras being tossed up in there momentarily, so we'll definitely point them out for you as they go. But basically all you got to know is there's a bunch of lamps over in that area hanging off the ceiling, and it's pretty easy to not only get those, but also some grass and everything else. You're mostly looking for things to hide in cheeky little spots for those black eye cams where you can get them on like one side so, you know, the pop can't really be seen, and that's a perfect example right there. It's going to be in towards the inside of the pillar, so unless you walk all the way over towards that small office, you are not going to find it at all. I believe it's called Lone Office. I haven't stepped foot in that room in like so very long, but yeah, either way, you actually
that one in the corner?
Yeah,
it's Lone Office.
So yeah, you have to actually like step in over towards this area to see that camera at all, because we've buffed the map, folks. Can we please show them the new windows that we've added to the top end here? There they are. Look at all of the windows you no longer have access to. This is going to make it to where you can play inside the lobby space a lot easier as a defender.
All right, so let's see here how Oxygen are going to get themselves off the streets of, I'm pretty sure this is LA, is where we're set in this map, and into this bank to see if they can withdraw a transaction against Team 1.
There's no way this is LA. There's a lot of parking in the back end. There's no shot. No shot.
Well, look at the palm trees. I mean, who else has palm trees?
A lot of places,
Palm trees are illegal outside.
They've actually just copyrighted palm trees. We're copywriting nature now.
So let's see here, as once again, the usual window pressure going to start to build up, primarily to deal with that extension from Jay and elsewhere here on the second floor near the CEO site would normally be. Vertical as well, spotting a bunch of gadgets in that area, so a hefty amount of intel going to be transferred over to the Oxygen clearing team. Whoever will have nades available to get rid of that will soon be in the area to try and deal with some of that here, as the first minute has now gone by, and Kino is going to be the first one to try and contest some of this presence here by Jay.
Oh, KDS is going to get the kill on a Foxy instead. A little risque there. Makino. Oh, what a burner on the top of square. Laxing to take down one as well. And what an opening minute and a half. Kino down to 1 HP as well as Neskin. He senses blood in the water. He know how much he's hit him, but Kino, he's like a sniper from downrange. He lops his head off. Don't peek me. Sit down, boy, as Levy is the last man alive for Team 1.
The transitions from Kino, something to be respected at the least here, and it's left Levy alive as a shell of the former defense for Team 1 here. It's got to cross beepers as well, so they're going to get plenty of warning as to where he's coming from, and it's no problem at all for Laxing to shut this one down with his own second on the round there. Great stuff from OXG, great stuff from Kino, as they absolutely just walk their way through the entire defensive setup, and some shooting along the way to make up the first round.
Yeah, speaking of walking, you really got to talk about Kino inside of that one. Look at this transition. The timing from T1 only slightly off there, just by a little bit, and it was just enough for him to make that transition from the bottom of square all the way up to the top to get that frag, and also that follow-up onto, I believe, Nuskin, who was manning Maestro in that sense. So unfortunately for him, gets dusted, and it's going to be an oxygen round after Laxing is able to clean things up on the other end. Fantastic stuff from Oxygen to start us off, but just as a reminder for you guys at home, Bank does tend to be an offender-sided map. With the bans, this is looking like it's going to be no different on this one.
So after that beating on the first round, Team 1 are going to very quickly shift away from an open area site, saying that probably isn't going to be the best idea to try and play into that extended setup once again. Instead, they'll work their way back into the relative safety of the basement, where hopefully they'll be able to maintain a bit more control over the chaos being thrown against them. May not necessarily be the case, however, as we've seen in quite a few of our other matches, the attackers have sometimes even been able to force the issue here, such as the game between CAG and Liquid last night here. But this is a very different matchup, of course, here. Most notably, we don't have a Montaigne being picked in for OXG, so expect fairly straightforward style of play, but at the same time, Team 1 have a couple players up towards the second floor. Not looking like they're going to stick around for very, very long. However, aside from that, we've got the usual holds being set up. Certainly one on the inside of Garage next to the ambulance, and then aside from that, your usual blue position being maintained by one of the M590 players. Looking like it's just going to be Alamau inside of this round.
Yes, indeed, my friend, as Lugonis will be managing blue as of right now as Ward, and this is a pretty straightforward setup that we've seen time and time again with this operator. You usually see it with like Ella or Smoke or something along those lines, but he is no stranger to this space, especially with his deployable shield, but it looks like that has either been assigned somewhere else or blown sky high already. Neskin going to be managing the open area space. This is one that we are actually seeing CAG use a little bit, but they actually just had the hatch closed with a CAG member prone underneath one of the desks. Kino go down earlier to one of his Brazilian brethren.
Well, quick fall from Grace, unfortunately for Kino. Here started out the last round with an absolutely amazing double kill. This time, he's going to be first picked out. As a good pick is found from KDS on Team 1 there. They'll be able to breathe a bit of a sigh of relief and pull back all of their aggressive players, all one of them, I think, that they had out from the basement, and just focus on the site hold here for the remaining 2 minutes. They've got the advantage, no need to risk it by making a bit more of an aggressive play, potentially losing one of their other players.
And Foxe is starting the work with the hammer, connecting all of the rooms and making these transitions a little easier for the OXG squad. Obviously, Team 1 will continue to stick to their guns around the space, especially for blue stairs, as this is going to be hotly contested. They do not want to give up server that easily, at least for this team. We see a couple with some other decisions that happen every once in a while, but at least for them, they are going to stick true, especially with Warden in this position. Those goggles will definitely assist him, or rather glasses, as he's got ADSs as well as my discs around the space. Vertical also going to have control of the ADSs here, or rather control of the IQ scanner. As Foxe's been bodied initially. Another one comes through. Laxing will clean him up, and that's the beauty of Finka. Laxing immediately gets Foxe up, and not a single person had to walk in to do it.
Really clutch timing on it too from Laxing, right on the dime with picking up Foxe. As soon as he got brought down to a sliver of his own HP, knew that once more was going to see Lugonis push out against him. So Lugonis is going to be a little bit frustrated about that, as there's really nothing he can do to fend off that additional pressure, and another adrenal surge coming in quickly, not only to boost Foxe back up, to potentially boost the rest of the team as they try to push their way back in here. 30 seconds remain, but they have no problem working their way past KDS, giving them a huge piece of the puzzle here as they get access to security, but a lot more needs to be gained, and they only have about half a minute left to get it. Levy will respond in kind here as he picks up Foxe, stopping the first attempt at a plant. Yaga now gonna have to move in and do it here. He'll actually move directly past the gas as well and try to challenge in the site here. Good thing, because the timing is so low. Laxing with a very well-placed nade knocks out Alamau, but the forward position here is going to drop the case on the ground, but it doesn't matter. Vertical, he's back in the game finally with an important double to clutch out this round for OXG.
Desperately needed there. If the Echo wins that gunfight, that's the round going to Team 1. And how risky did Oxygen have to be to try and get that case down? They had no insight as to what was going on the actual site. And did you see it, John? All of the walls soft inside of Red Hall. There is no safe haven for him to try and plant on, so he has to try and transition all the way back to the brick-facing wall right next next to the door, but the person inside a garage can see you from there. Very unfortunate there for Team 1 that they were not able to close it out, but very well done when it came to their site setup.
OXG making it work here and scrounging together their first 2 rounds after some very successful play on the first coming in from Kino. They lose him this time on the outset of the round, but thankfully, like I mentioned there, Vertical coming alive exactly when he was needed to. A player that unfortunately hasn't been having the best go of it, at least looking back at map number 2 here, and he's a very important piece of the puzzle, especially back in stage 3 of the NAL. He was easily the biggest MVP for Oxygen during that couple months of play. And they're definitely going to be wanting to see that version of him again here at SI to try and allow for them to lift the hammer or see how close they can get towards it. Laxing as well having a great game here so far. Him and Vertical have yet to die as Laxing is up 4-0 at this point after 2 rounds having been played. 2 kills per round so far built up for him.
Okay, well, Team 1 have to get some rounds put together here, John. It's starting to get away from them. We'll have to see what they can do here inside of round 3, as they've been able to get some initial picks onto Oxygen, but Oxygen, I mean, they've practically gone feral here on Bank. They are trying to just fight fire with fire, time and time again, running at these Team 1 members in dying moments to see if they can just body them, and that's exactly what happened inside of the last round. We'll see if it continues on here in round 3, as obviously we have transition sites back to open area, but it's going to be a top hold now for Team 1 to try and prevent this space from being taken hold of.
Once again, a relatively uneventful first few seconds of the round. OXG just using their drones to reconfirm some of the more out-and-about positions from Team 1 here. Kino has entered back into square, though, taking up position for himself. He's got that red ping for the Banshee position down towards Jay, and we'll chuck the nade in to deal with that. It's going to be Vertical to strike first here, however, from the skylight, as the pressure from Kino was enough to force back Levy down the main stairs right into the waiting arms of Vertical, who takes him out.
I don't know if he got himself up on the lip of that window there or not. I used to constantly go and man that window before they put the panels on that side, because you could get a really nice angle in towards the top of the stairwell, but now since then, it's been a little bit more difficult. Obviously, with the way that they have it, you can still transition in, which we see a lot of hot drops, what we used to back in the day, on that space when it came to like a top floor execute, but now, not so much. I really, really like that adaptation there from Vertical. That was a heck of an angle, and one that more than likely a lot of people are going to be using because it was pretty cheeky.
So Kino continues to wait for his own personal opportunity to open up this round for himself, and more importantly, see if anyone from Team 1 is going to be staying away from their own site, but not going to find them too soon here. So once again, playing into the open area, no one wanting to test that upper hold now that it's been dealt with here. The full control is gained by our attackers. Nice ping coming in there. Fortunately, a Valkyrie cam left undealt with it. Even though KDS gets it, he's not going to be able to escape. Yaga immediately on for that trade and keeps the numbers advantage into the favor of Oxygen here. You can see them trying to line up the EXO to open up the wall, but being very cautious of a potential comeback from the side of Blue here. In fact, so much that Yaga's going to cancel it outright. Still, even with that considered, Alamau is able to make a move of his own and catch Laxing. That's now 2 down for Oxygen here as they try to make an attempt to open things up. Kino attempted to swing, but it was actually Lagonis from the other end here who finishes him off. Yeah, but even more damage coming from a player deeper on the inside of open area. Yog now trying to swing himself, but he can't even figure out where he's at here as Neskin comes out from break room, takes him down. That's on top of additional. Oh, that's just unlucky there from Foxe. That looked clear to me, but no, the nade's going to somehow bank off that pillar. He'll waste it. He does have one more, but now as last player alive, he opens things up well with the first kill, nearly gets the second versus Alamau, but it does not work out. And now Team 1 comes alive and gets on the board.
Foxe pixels off of removing the head of Alamau there, and that really would have gave him the opportunity he was looking for. He knew that other player was around the blue space. If he doesn't get to the top of that stairwell in time, Fox has a very big chance to take that round for Oxygen, but that's going to be a defensive round that Team 1 have been wishing for since this game started as we go into round 4. Very well done from them to be able to bring it back. I love the way that they ended up working that bottom square space with the player transitioning up blue and challenging at the kitchen door at the same time. That's the kind of team play you want to see in the way that they were able to establish that crossfire so quickly. But past that now, we have to go back downstairs, it seems, for Team 1, as really nobody has been trying to go up to CEO simply because of how strong people are at clearing that space in the current moment.
So as we get ourselves into yet another basement hold here for Team 1, we're not going to see any huge dramatic change-ups to the operator lineup. But once again, the Warden coming in for Lagonis to be able to hold out on blue. The Mozzie in for the Pests and the potential intel mitigation, and then your usual spread of potential roaming operators. It is looking like actually Team 1 might try to get a tad more aggressive with their positioning here, just based on the operator lineup. But once again, I want to see how these next 20 seconds go here and where all of our players end up before I judge that too harshly. There's a possibility they could try to set up a bit more heftily onto the second floor and then just leave the dual hatch rotation open to head back downstairs towards the basement relatively quickly, and I certainly looks like that is potentially going to be in the cards here, but we will wait and see. As time is up, setup time that is. And now it's time for OXG to spawn out onto the board and see if they can knock out some of these stragglers still working on getting initial positioning for Team 1.
Well, a little bit of an update for you guys over for the A stream. So if you guys don't want to hear about the game, make sure to mute your speakers.
3, 2, 1, go.
Natus Vincere takes it in 2-0 fashion up against MIBR, getting their first victory here at LAN, John. Yay! They've done it. You got to feel for them, and they're definitely pretty excited about that one. You and I casted them. It seemed like the secretly show when we did, but fortunately enough for them, they're able to bring it back. But that's it, guys. Hopefully everybody had enough time to mute their stuff if they were caring
They've
about
officially
that.
got defense against Twitter now.
Yes.
They've got one game, they can be like, well, what about that one?
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. They can fend off all of the Twitter trolls, just like we all tend to have to do. Either way, though, as we get through the first minute here, some explosives going off, and luckily enough, we're just on time, John, for the first kill, as KDS will lop off Kino's noggin.
Kino, a great start to this game, but silent ever since then. The first 3 kills are, in fact, his only 3 kills of this game. Thankfully, other members of OXG have been picking up the slack.
Oh, no!
Oh, what a catch, as he's barely going to be able to get Neskin. You can see 2 of his teammates trying to swing out as well. And elsewhere, Levy is able to negotiate himself a kill against Foxe, potentially pushing in through the front door there. A good trade is now Team 1 back in control, and they still have to deal with the position from Levy at some point before descending into the basement any further.
This is looking like Team 1 could possibly tie this up, especially if Levy continues to get away with this. Some serious damage dealt to him as he'll scurry back into Teller's office, back through beepers, and hopefully transition back towards possibly the top floor. So we do have yet another Team 1 member inside of this space in the current moment. It's going to be Alamau over here inside of Kitchen. He'll transition back into open area. Levy's still on the roam as well. They are not going to let Oxygen get this for free here. And now Oxygen have to do a bang-up job of clearing out this space. Yaga gets taken down by Levy, who's in the corner. The stun isn't going to get him off the door frame there. And now they have the case. Oxygen is doing this all on their lonesome. And this is a problem. Laxine will be able to land his shot, but he's only got 1 more adrenal surge. It's going to add a little bit of HP, but doesn't really matter. He's just about a bullet's worth of HP, depending on what he gets hit with. But luckily enough for him, it's all going to be SMG, so it's going to take a couple of shots in order to end his existence.
Alma knows he's got pressure, but look at the coordination coming in. KDS with the immediate cutoff as soon as it unfurls, and Alamau to shut it all down. Beautiful work. Members of OXG never even get close to attacking the basement. The furthest they get is Garage, excellently held off by Team 1, especially the extended game, and especially Levy there. Beautiful stuff to tie us up at 2-2.
Team 1 are just all on the same page on these defensive setups in the moment, especially inside of that round. You can see how they resurge back into the mid-floor to be able to hold that instead of just being like, oh, we got our picks, let's just let them have it. No, we're not letting you get away with this. Levy, especially inside of that round, that was the dagger that Team 1 needed to slow down Oxygen on this map. They pulled pressure from all different sides, and the big thing here for my NA boys, guys, you gotta work together to clear out these spaces. You cannot have your hard breach rotating into a space with case control by himself to try and contest a roamer. That's just very piss poor Siege.
So, back upstairs now for Team 1 to try out a site that they have not even gone into as of yet here, but now need to play into it as they don't really have a choice anymore. It's been some solid runs from Team 1, and they need to stretch their legs a bit. Head up to CEO to see if they can find success here. We're seeing this one become a bit of a popular pick for OSA plays as well. OXG was a team looking to bring it back in, as we saw earlier, mainly on Coastline, but for this site, not feeling the trial on it just as of yet here. Mainly, again, needing vertical to stay on the IQ, to suss out the position of those Valkyrie cameras. Even aside from that too, you also want to keep Finka alive in this one. Foxe potentially could have switched off the sledge, but the sledge will be very useful for attacking the site and dealing with some of the positioning. And aggression to start the round out from Levy, but this time it'll be caught by Yaga, giving an advantage over to Oxygen.
Well, fortunately enough for Oxygen, they will get that early pick, so Yaga immediately springing back too. They have the early man advantage that they'll be able to abuse going later on into this round. This means they can now take their time and clear clearing things, John. They don't have to immediately try and hop in and find any kills. Also, for Team 1, this is going to force them into more of a lulled play style. They want to try and slow things up, yes, up against Oxygen, but if they risk any more bodies, this could go very, very wrong. We see Alamau trying to play it right up to the edge there, out inside of the elevator hallway towards Square. Some nice cams around the space as of right now to at least keep some info as to what's going on, and they are all intended for Square. Look at the amount of info that is being received from the Valkyrie.
Nesca just patiently waiting for anyone from Oxygen to drop down from their roof positioning and swing over into stock, but no, he's gonna make the play instead. Heads right out to take the challenge versus Kino over by the Square door and knocks him out. That's an even game once again at 4v4.
And Oxygen just not holding on to that angle. He's able to cross into stock and take him out. Luckily enough, Vertical has all of the intel in the world with this IQ scanner. He'll get 2 of the cams already. And oh no, it's going to be a trade. But now the case is down outside as well. Good news for Oxygen, minute and a half remaining. Bad news is there's a lot of site utility for them to go through in order to get this plant. They don't have Yaga as a thermite anymore. I mean, there's a lot of problems here that Oxygen are going to face. They're going to have to try and funnel into the actual site. Oh, Alamau, don't you dare. I think he's going to do it. I really do.
He heard the rappel. He knows
he's totally going to go for it.
He saw the barricade break.
Look at him, staring. Look at him staring at the camera on his opposing teammate's screen. He's just waiting for it, but so is Vertical with open arms. Back and forth they go as Alamau chooses to walk away from the window, which could have been a pretty risky play.
So more than likely, I would assume there's a camera somewhere out here, one of the Valkyrie ones, to be able to detect.
They were all 3 inside.
Oh, at least really?
Yeah, at least from what I saw. It might be a default cam that's still up, to be completely honest with you.
Some form of intel still alive there for them to be able to use, but apparently not enough to justify the swing on us. Now, it's all 3 members of Oxygen on the rappel, so you probably don't want to try that, considering the immediate threat to your life that will come into play. Now, that doesn't mean you can't fend off the pressure from Banana, as all 3 players are going to be in your crosshair for the swing here now. They'll work their way in. The nade from Foxe is a hit here, and Alamau can be none the wiser to stop it. Never mind, he finds it through the boxes as he takes out Vertical instead. Someone else will have to pick up the pieces, and they do not have a whole lot of time to make up for it. First swing is in. The cross is made. Laxing, however, back out in Square, not in the site. Lagonis spots it and shuts him down, and Alamau picks up the last one.
That was so beautifully done from Team 1 in the way that they ended up playing that round, especially starting off with a man down. They're able to find the singular gap in Oxygen's offense, and they even have Laxing playing for the rappel for stock as well, but he's not manning the windows at the time, and he gets punished for it, losing one of the Oxygen members, equalizing, and then they have to go for these very awkward transitions as the case gets put down outside. They all go to the north side rappel, but you have to swing into the windows, and as we both know, when it comes to Bank, that doesn't tend to work out the greatest, especially when you don't have control of lobby, where we saw Alamau step up and be able to prevent the plant from going down, all on Banana.
So let's see here now as the lead has once again been lost for Oxygen after a promising start to the map. Things have quickly turned in the favor of our Latin American challengers here, looking to instead take the lion's share of rounds out of this half, and they could very well do it, returning once again to open area to try and secure number 4. This will be the last defense for them, of course, before we switch sides and Oxygen get a chance to pick up some of their own coming up on round number 7. Operator lineup once again going to see no changes for Oxygen and only minimalist ones for Team 1. Most notably, once again, bringing in the Maestro to add those evil eye cameras and as well the firepower of the Alda in the event that Oxygen get close enough to the site to assault it.
Now, this is a round that ended up breaking down in a pretty explosive fashion, at least for Team 1's sake, as they were able to manage Square pretty damn well. They ended up taking out quite a few Oxygen members and stringing out Yaga. The poor guy was trying to fight 3 different people all at the same time, one in Archives, one in Kitchen, one in Blue Stairs. It just seemed like they were coming from the trees, and they most definitely were. Team 1 looking to take this half now in a 4-2 fashion as they'll return to open area and hopefully, for their sake, find the same success.
So just taking care of the usual duties here inside the first few seconds of the round. Drones as well still need to be checking what is present upstairs here, the usual J extension. More than likely something that'll need to be dealt with by the members of Team 1 here, or rather by the members of Oxygen inside the first half of this round, and certainly that will be the case in the form of KDS extended over towards the elevator banks at this point. Really looking like a whole lot of pressure built up elsewhere though, and actually no, Lagonis, I can see him now inside of J, so a bit more there, but I think he actually just dropped fairly early, so he's already gone, and that threat has been dealt with by the Oxygen kit.
Well, now for Oxygen, going Going to start manning these windows around the lobby space. Obviously, still have some square presence going on in this area. Doing a bang-up job of clearing out this top end right now. Want to make sure that no Team 1 members are trying to get an early pick in a ratty spot or something along those lines like we have been seeing. We saw it pretty early over on Coastline for Team 1 with Alamau. Pulling off a lot of different things that weren't necessarily working out early, but that's also the map that we saw Team 1 be able to take away from OXG when it seemed like they had the prime opportunity to be able to pull things away from Team 1 in that aspect on their defensive side. But as of right now, looks like Oxygen able to at least negotiate for this top floor controls to begin breaking up the flooring and looking into Team 1's setup a little deeper.
Foxy just knocking out as much of this floor as he can here, trying to open up the POVs deeper into the room he's looking at down below here. Yaga, in the meanwhile, prepared to throw out his first Exo. We do have the impact trick coming in, and it is a winner there. I don't think... Oh, no, never mind. Yaga pulled it off, so no, not going to see anyone wasted there. And actually, a fairly good job of baiting out the first impact. Second one will connect, but now it's been used. Yaga does have another... No, never mind, as Levy comes back up from the backside of Blue and shuts Yaga down before he even gets a chance to deploy that second Exo.
Super unfortunate for Oxygen in the moment as KDS will still be able to keep his life. The shot's just not landing as of right now. Grenades in abound for Oxygen as they're looking to take out some more pieces of utility. Neskin just letting the 81 sing out towards the kitchen door here as Kino will take some damage, but Foxy to strike first onto Neskin. They'll equalize going into the last 20 seconds here. Laxing going to poise himself inside of the elevator hallway on the second floor as they'll start to try and transition in through that space. Kino going to continue to lock up Blue as they do have a drone for this area. Foxy landing another nade. Lagonis with a beautiful shot though, and oh no, Kino has to hop too. Laxing with one. They need to have oversight for this, but oh no, the shotgun in close range, it might be able to prevent, but Levy instead, since he dropped the angle inside of Archive, he's allowed to exist again, John. He waits it out, goes back into kitchen, and it's a 4-2 half, as well as Alamau letting him out just a little bit. You saw the hands around the mouth. He's yelling over to the other bench in that current moment. Team 1 pull ahead going to the offensive side.
A funny last moment there as well. Levy doesn't even realize he walks right into the treasure trove, basically. He's like, oh, planner's right here.
Oh, there's just a stack of gold over the corner. I guess I'm just gonna take this
real quick.
All right. Hey, you want a Ferrari? I'm feeling like having a Ferrari right now. That'd be fun.
Team 1 could buy some Ferraris for themselves as they make their way all the way towards the end of our group stage here and into the playoff bracket. It's got to go a little further than that.
You'd rather buy a Lamborghini, to be honest with you. Ferrari, they're kind of stuck in their ways, man. They don't let you do anything to their cars. That's the car guy speak. I'm sorry.
Ruined our potential Ferrari sponsorship.
Dude.
How dare you.
Lamborghini, sponsor us. Let us do cool stuff to your cars, please. I promise. I promise we'll do cool things to your cars. Plus, like, you can get a Huracan for like $300,000. So if you wanted to like lift the hammer and then spend all of your money that you just got from winning the biggest event in Rainbow Six on a single car that doesn't exactly ride that well because it's really, really fast and a bunch of other things. You know, it is what it is.
Are you done burning bridges with potential sponsors?
Yeah. I'm waiting for Ubisoft to just start pinging me like, Stokes, please stop. Please stop. We had this in works for years now. But now we've transitioned over to the second half of Bank here. It's up to Oxygen to do quite a bit when it comes down to these defensive setups. Now, the big thing right now is that I'm hoping that their struggle on the second map was not all for naught, because this Bank right now means quite a bit to the overall story of Oxygen, but you could say the same for Team 1.
Yeah, both teams really in a bit of a struggle city in terms of overall points for the group, so it's a big boost to get even that single point just for winning this extra map here. And we're going to see talk a little bit more about Oxygen's specific setup. Once again, a Thunderbird, for those of you guys who didn't notice it, coming into play here for the basement play, allowing for Oxygen, if things go a little bit awry on their extended setup, which you can see there's quite a few of them extending up, at least to the first floor, they can fall back, get that little bit of a boost up, and potentially more than that if they want to run the gauntlet between multiple ones and get themselves close, if not over, full HP here. Oxygen, however, pulling back from their initial swing upstairs fairly quickly after the first 45 seconds or so of the round has transpire. They don't really get much in terms of a push from Team 1. Just going to let them in now that first third of the round has been wasted out and allow for them to set up towards their usual clear.
Well, Team 1 are going to have plenty of hard breach at their disposal for this one to get the hatches popped. No sledge, but a buck will suffice for Neskin to begin breaking up a lot of these soft walls and connecting rooms yet again. As for Laxine, he'll be manning the cardiac sensor for a time. There's going to be so much information going in onto them. It's going to be the can over here from Sam Fisher to pop things open. Zero with his cameras as well, more than likely setting up quite a few of those. That Nitro Cell actually going to get stuck, unfortunately enough, onto the cubicle. Will not go in to get rid of that secondary set. So looks like they'll be able to at least get the hatches open, luckily enough for Alamao's sake, as they begin to clear out blue with Kino manning the bottom.
Kino continuing to hold as well here and just bait out the extra time. He's already pre-placed his next Toxic Babe for the event. That his first one fades away. He can just follow it up real quickly. Won't have to chuck it back out and potentially leave a window for his opponents to work through here. Here we go, just chaining them together. It's not going to take us all the way to a null pointer, quite obviously. We still have well over a minute to play in here, and that is a nice little spot to hide a drone, as it's going to sells him out here quite early on. Flash flow right in front of his face, completely blinds him out. The skeleton key gets the job done here, and Neskin eats just a few more bits of that grenade damage. Toxic gas grenade, that is, to be able to confirm the kill and prevent any sort of fallback here. Rest of the team follows it up with quick control of the server room and a quick opening of the access to security as well, using out one of their hard breaches to accomplish that, and now getting them pretty much ready to hop right in here. Only a +1 player advantage though, so it is going to be a bit dodgy as they go in, but Alamao quickly makes it 2, and now 3, 4, as he shuts them all down, finally to be shut down himself by Vert, but he's a shell of his former team self, and Levy comes in to trade it out. Never even got the confirmation on the first one. It's a flawless round from Team 1.
Alamao just carving up Oxygen in that round. He did practically everything except deal with blue. He opened up all of the hatches, drops down to assist his team in the plant, and picks up 4 kills in the process. What a dastardly man in the moment. And for Oxygen, that's got to be immediate tag pause.
Yep, just for anything to reset real quick, cool themselves off. That's a bit of a frustrating loss considering they had them held back. Only lost the 1 player, which was a player they kind of expected to lose by that point in the round anyway. Your blue hold is kind of on a limited timer, especially once the hatch is open. So once again, things looking great for OXG up until that hatch drop had been made. And now going to be looking to figure out what exactly went wrong and more importantly, what exactly they can fix for the upcoming round on what's looking to be a CEO hold.
I'm so happy that you said that there's basically a timer, an unknown timer as to when that blue hold goes down, because that's really what it is. Whenever you start talking to your team and you're like, all right, guys, who wants to play blue? Nobody raises their hands. You want to know why? Because you're gonna die. That's exactly what's gonna happen. But yeah, you know, it's a great spot to be able to hold on to because it limits a lot of what can go on inside of server, and that's what you're really worried about when it comes to that space. The longer you limit them from server, you know, the harder it is going to be for the offense to get a plant down. But for this one, Team 1 not only body Kino in there, but it's done in very convincing way from Neskin. The smoke goes out, the stun goes out from him as well, and he challenges with that skeleton key in close range to deal some absurd damage in that moment. And the best part about it is he doesn't have to be nearly as accurate. It's very difficult to see through those toxic smokes sometimes just because the plumes will have different effects at different moments, and sometimes it can block you, sometimes it won't. But with the skeleton key, it takes a lot of guessing work out of that situation. He downs Kino and is able to claim that entire space. Team 1 are feeling themselves at the moment.
And with only 2 rounds to go, Oxygen to feel for some sort of a winning strategy here to get themselves back into the match. A 3-round deficit now put before them, potentially for that very unfortunate scoreline that has set before OXG. Usually with them on the other side of it, where the loss usually evades them from that point forward, but now they have to be the one to make the comeback, run the gauntlet, as we get another very nice look at that run from Alamao as well towards the end of the previous round.
That shot on Laxine was just disgusting. If I could just like take the energy from that 1 kill and just inject it straight into my veins, I would. That was truly, truly absurd stuff coming out from him. But Team 1, they're firing on all cylinders at the moment. It's been a little bit of a strenuous series going back and forth here in between these two, but now with Team 1 in an absurd 3-round lead, whilst also being on the offensive side, this is looking like their map to lose.
So let's see if they can pull together here and clutch out the last 2 rounds that they will need to get together to be able to negotiate the 7 rounds needed. Be able able to win out the series, or if OXG, coming off of their pause, are going to enter this round with renewed vigor that will be needed to bring the comeback into the fold here. Interesting pick from Yaga, as we are actually going to get a Bandit. Very rarely do we see Bandit played anymore, because Bandit tricking is nigh impossible to successfully pull off nowadays. Yeah, it doesn't really work anymore, unfortunately.
It works in a certain sense. We've seen it, I believe, like one time at this LAN actually be successful. I believe it was on the CCTV wall for Clubhouse. But that's really like the only spot that you might see it happen every once in a while. A lot of teams are really used to clearing that wall with Maverick and everything else, so it really doesn't have a huge, huge boon for you on defense any longer. But it's still going to do what it does best: hold up the walls, make sure they're electrified, and make it to where Hard Breach can't just instantaneously go on it. This is what you want to see around this top space, especially for the elevator hallway. If you guys watched Elevate versus Furia, you'll know just how damning that wall can be if it's opened.
Let's see here now. Tension starting to build up, and a drone sneaking right into the defensive matrix here of Oxygen. KDS trying to spam in through that, but not going to be getting too lucky here and finding anything, as the two players inside of that room quickly fall back through the hatch and to the relative safety of their own basement hold here. Going to need to find a way to rotate back out of that, though, as of course we're defending the second floor right now, so we'll be a bit detached from the action. That's what Alamal's looking for, trying to see if he can catch either of those players when they decide to work their way back up, if they should head through towards the main stairs, which is really going to be their only option. I'm pretty sure Square has fallen over towards the Team 1 guys by this point, so really not going to be able to work yourself in from that area.
Well, Team 1 taking their time on this one. Obviously, this is going to be the top floor hold. Kino with a big pickup onto KDS. That was out towards the square windows. Alamal will pick up Fox A, though, as once again we have this cheeky angle adopted that we saw from Vertical earlier on that ended up catching a Team 1 member, but now the shoe's on the other foot. Skin will transition down off of the balcony into open area as he'll be taking control of this. Alamal going to continue to man that window as well. They're trying to clear out as many bodies from this space as humanly possible. Yaga currently upstairs inside of the elevator hallway with the remainder of the team, at least Kino over inside of the space as well. Seems like Vertical is all the way downstairs and could be playing spoils for a flank later on. And Laxing, well, he's playing Laxing's spot, as we call it, over inside of the elevator hallway. So as this timer continues to dwindle, Team 1 have propelled themselves forward, but as of right now, don't exactly have much info to do so. This has been read out pretty well. Alamal will get one. Yaga fires back, though, as this is 3 versus 3.
Clean opening shot from Alamal, but unable to sustain against the repeat over from Stock. Neskin finding one on his own and nearly getting a second, but having to dodge the Nitro. Thankfully, Levy's there to assist and finishes off Kino. Yaga, now the only one left standing here. The plan, nothing standing in that way for sure here. Yaga just has to sit back, allow it to go down onto the ground here. Might be able to get the trade on Neskin, but no, he recovers in the middle of the fight and shuts it all down once again for Team 1 as they push up onto map and match point.
Very well done, and the energy is just at an all-time high right now for Alamal and the boys of Team 1. This is going to be so hard fought here for Oxygen, as what do you do in the moment? It's 6-2 here on Bank, and John, it's starting to look like this possibly shouldn't have been let through.
Certainly seeming like it might be the case. Some slivers of hope for Oxygen in earlier rounds, but it's all fallen by the wayside here. Team 1 once again dominating in multiple aspects of the round, especially the early round, and even again when they were able to bait out the time. Oxygen, this is all the way down to the late round. We just throw Alamal down a hatch in a basement and quad kill apparently, and still they find success there. Nothing is working at this point for Oxygen, already having used their tactical pause as well. There's no more time to recenter themselves and figure out, come to a kind of consensus about what they can potentially change up. They have to just do it in the mid-round here and look for some way to bridge this gap. That is now a 2-6 deficit.
I mean, it's just so hard for Oxygen to fight Team 1 in the current moment. The form of siege that Team 1 play is pretty preferable if you can manage it. That's the biggest thing. It's really difficult to pull off some of the things that they do because you really have to be on the same page, and on top of that, you have to have some absurd mechanical ability. That's the biggest part of the puzzle there. And for Oxygen, as of right now, they are just getting punched directly in the face. This isn't like, oh, we're going to beat around the bush, we're going to do our thing. No, this is straight to the point. We are taking this site from you, and there's not a damn thing that you're going to do about it.
So considering that, it's time to see. It's do or die time, quite literally, for Oxygen here. As well, yes, they've guaranteed a single point for themselves by picking up the second map. That may not yet be enough. We'll have to see how the groups pan out once we get back over towards our command center. Hopefully give you guys a good picture of how the rest of this group is looking and how the potential outcome for not only Oxygen, but Team 1 may look should they come out victorious from not only this round, but any round for the next 4. Team 1 just pushing themselves forward. Eska wants to get himself into a safe corner, which is why he takes out that debris to prevent any more light swings from coming in, making his opponents go for the full outright rotation there if they want to kill him. Vertical going to be challenged here because of the lifeline charges being thrown out against him. He's not going to be too keen on trying to get fairly aggressive with this peak as well, so that'll let the large majority of Team 1 into the building and into square control to start taking some map control away from Oxygen. KDS as well, Inteller's nearly able to catch out Laxing on the rebound, does in fact pull that off, taking him down and once again giving Team 1 the opening player advantage.
All of a sudden, for Oxygen, this is looking like a round that is completely losable. Foxe and Vertical both still upstairs. Yaga now in the proclaimed Laxing spot over on the other end of the elevator hallway. But a nice beautiful shot there from Foxe. Immediately shot back, though, by KDS, who sees the hole and is able to claim the life. And they're going to keep the man advantage because of that. Beautifully done from Team 1, as they're still trying to look for a spot to plant this diffuser. Luckily enough, it's not going to be inside the archive space for them. It's actually going to be over inside of open area, and they still have plenty of time to be able to manage what's going on inside of the space.
OXG not trying to overstep here, but at the same time still need to find ways to control the absolute chaos that Team 1 are soon going to throw at them. And Yog's trade is certainly a nice way to even things out and slow down the pacing at a minimum from our attackers here. Vertical not catching the cross just yet. Might have been able to see the feet coming back out there, but it's a tough angle for him to play into here. He has to wait for them to get a bit more aggressive. Kino with an important second kill as well, this time against Lagonis. Now the advantage shifts into Oxygen's favor, and as well another swing from Kino goes completely unnoticed by Neskin. He gets away with murder here against him, and suddenly the entire attack falls onto Levy's shoulders in a 1v3.
45 seconds for Levy to do something here. Another smoke out. He knows that the smoke is playing on the shield, but now with very low HP, it's anybody to end him, and it'll be Kino instead, as he simply transitions back into the angle and is able to end the Brazilian. They'll stay alive, at least for now, on Bank.
It's a simple process for Kino, too. He's like, look, I got 3 angles to peek from. You guys don't know which one it is. You're playing whack-a-mole, and I'm the mole, but I've got a gun.
It's a little different when the mole's got a gun and you only got a hammer. Huh? You're just like, all right, which hole do I... Oh, I'm dead. Like, oh, well, either way, Oxygen have to go on a huge string of rounds here in order to even accomplish overtime. Yep. This is the first piece of the puzzle. They still need to find the other 3.
Quarter of the way there, as 3 more rounds, as you said, needing to be picked up. We were looking at a couple different options there for Alamau, as you guys could see him postulating his 6th pick. Was originally
postulating his possibilities, you could say.
Initially was going to work himself over onto 0, but has decided to bring the Ying, and it is against a basement assault too. So Flavors of Oregon going to come back out once again. Team 1 going to see if they can whip out the strategy from the last map, and maybe it will be their victory strategy here to push them over the edge and give them the 2-1 victory in the overall series, as well as 2 points in the group.
You gotta be feeling for Oxygen in the moment. Hopefully they start feeling themselves and we can start to see some pretty outright rounds for them. As of right now, trying to fight back. Oxygen, though, able to at least muster the last round in a pretty convincing way, taking out quite a few Team 1 members as they struggled to find the proper map control in order to get themselves onto site. Yes, they were able to breach into Kitchen, but that was really about it. Once the transition came through, all of the Oxygen members getting away with quite a bit. I was really worried early on as well as that pick came through from KDS onto Laxing, as well as his ability to maintain man advantage with that kill onto Foxe upstairs. It was very well done from him, but fortunately enough for OXG, the rest of Team 1 just not up to the task.
So Alamau and the rest of Team 1 continue to build up presence here. Get ready to start taking some of this important map control away from the Oxygen roster. Yogg as well will be the first to fend off some of it as he's going to catch the drone, but stays very, very close to the rotation point.
Oh, what the hell?
He's getting a bit too hot here. Foxe as well out and about over here towards Square. He loses a huge chunk of HP, going down to about 40 overall here and having to fall back completely as a result of that, as he's nearly caught out, it seems, by a member of Team 1.
I don't necessarily know what happened there. Didn't really see any breaches or anything, but I'm assuming that somebody ended up walking in towards top square or something and catching him off guard. So seems like they'll be able to stack up utility inside of the blue stairs space. This could obviously go awry just because of the placement of one of the discs that could end up blowing up all of the ADSs, but we'll have to see if that ends up going on. It's the one right up to Kino's right here, not the ones inside of the door frame. Those will be perfectly fine. So looks like KDS will at least be able to get some info Keno here. He's going to keep it right up on the drone, so Keno has to forcefully move around. They're also going to keep Foxay down here. As everyone knows, all of his Wamai discs are on a timer, so keeping him around this area means he can continue to add things to the pile and make it more and more difficult. As they continue to burn everything out, look at the amount of utility that Team 1 will be forced to use for this setup.
Quite literally everything being used up here except for 2 flashes and a single nade. That's what they're keeping in their pockets. KD is probably going to want to save the 1 nade for usage on the actual site assault, but he might not have a choice here soon. KDS trying to move his drone in to see what this hatch looks like. He'll completely miss the setup on top, but his teammates should be well aware of it, that by this point they won't necessarily need to drone that out. And as well, Foxay just found proning out in the open, trying to counter the angle from the hatch, I assume, but only ends up getting countered himself when he takes the fight.
Well, fortunately enough for the Smoke player, he's been able to live for a little while, but I don't think it's going to be for a little while longer. But Keno, he pulls it away from me. He'll take down KDS, but immediately gets refragged by Neskin. Team 1, this is their time to start off into the actual bomb site. They've gotten server control. Laxing in the pulse spot downstairs. This is as old gets. He'll be able to help Vertical with this. Nitro Cell out, but it's shot. Team 1, they're so damn clean. Alamau will be able to get the pick, and he'll do it again. It's all down to Laxing, but Levy kills him, and Bank goes to the Brazilians.
It's a rocky start to this series for Team 1, but they bring it back on our first map. They cannot control the second map, but they absolutely thrash our third map here on Bank. 7-3 scoreline to shut it all down, and 2-1 overall on the series. Team 1 are victorious here today versus Oxygen.
What